I want to put a quick disclaimer on this episode that if you have any substance abuse problems, if you have alcohol problems, you've been sober forever, um, I'm just going to let you know how I have handled heartbreak. And it's obviously not a blueprint for everybody. So I'm not by any means suggesting anybody steer away from their sobriety or anything like that. So I wanted to do this episode on heartbreak real quick. And it's funny how humans deal with it. It's funny how even the fear of heartbreak can steer so many of our choices and actually have us hurt each other in relationships just from the fear of getting our heart broken. And it can create commitment issues. It can create attachment issues later in life. There's just so many things. I think it's probably heartbreak, and I can speak for men. I can't necessarily speak for women. I never try to speak for women. Um, I can only come from a man's perspective, but I think that I think to an extent, men probably get hurt worse, and it takes us a lot longer to recover from heartbreak because we're not taught. It's more taboo for a man to go through heartbreak and to admit that he hurts. It's a lot more taboo for us to admit that, you know, and we have a lot less generally support group than women have. So women generally have a pretty high support group. Men do not, and we're not really taught how to process a lot of the emotions that come along with heartbreak, and we tend to turn inward with it. So this is by no means a blueprint. There is by no means a set in stone way to deal with heartbreak, but it can be maybe some sort of a blueprint if anyone's going through it. All right, so we'll start out. To circle back, this might be a little all over the place. Circle back. We so we fear heartbreak, and it steers a lot of our decisions. And then when we go through heartbreak, we don't tend to think logically at all. We're very deep in our emotions. This is what I have done in the past um, with heartbreak. Is I would drink for a night, and that helps me break that shell and kind of feel the emotions I need to feel. And then, because I got a cat up here trying to get attention, leave my sprite alone. Um, we tend to we tend to get really emotional thinking, right? So we mourn and we grieve, and if you don't allow that grieving process to happen, then I don't think you ever get over it. This is a troublemaker right here. She is nothing but a little troublemaker, and she's wanting so much attention right now. I will give her some attention after the episode. So if you don't allow yourself to grieve, you're not ever going to get over it. And a lot of, I can tell you my first instinct is always to bottle it up or to look for validation from other women, jump into something else real fucking, oh, oh, excuse me, quick. And that would be probably the worst thing you could do. So what I did, and this is, like I said in that disclaimer in the beginning, is I drank all fucking day yesterday. I started drinking tequila somewhere around 10 in the morning, and I didn't stop until I crashed out on the sofa somewhere around 8 or 9. Um, and I ugly cried, and I got a lot of my emotions out. Some of them didn't come out so clean. Some of them came out beneficial, but I allowed myself to feel the grief and ugly cry and grieve what could have be in the future. What like because you go through so much, you go through so many emotions that you start mourning what the future was. So allow yourself to grieve. I think the first thing I did was I took action. I actually have had more support than most men get, and I know that, and I've been very, very appreciative of the men that have been in my life through this. But most men don't get the support system that they need to work through this sort of thing, and they end up carrying it with them for a long time, and they end up self-destructing. So what I did was I drank tequila literally all fucking day long yesterday, and I ugly cried a lot. I mean, like embarrassing little kid, toddler, ugly cry. Just kind of woke up a little embarrassed about it this morning that I did that like that, but I think that's just a natural byproduct of us men not for generations not being comfortable with that sort of thing. Oh, she is burning. So the first thing I think I took action right away so that I wouldn't, I spent the day, uh, took a plane ride out to Carl Springs, picked up a vehicle, a couple of bros that really, really stood up, helped me get, which was the first step. That's what I knew the first step was. Then the next day I drank and I ugly cried and I just let all kinds of emotions out. And just was able to kind of feel my grief. And the grief doesn't go away right away. But you have to talk about your grief and you have to feel your grief in order to move on. You have to admit your grief. And that's, like I said, that's hard for us men to do. And then you need to move on. So you need to feel it. You need to feel your emotions. You need to let it out. I don't care if you let it out to a bro. I've got one bro that has seen me let my shit out. Let it sit in the bathroom and cry if you need to. Sit in a shower or whatever you're comfortable with doing, and let it out. Feel those emotions. And then this morning, first thing I did is I woke up and I felt that little bit of embarrassment, a little bit of a vulnerability hangover. I like to call it because I still feel I still have a hard time with vulnerability sometimes. And then this morning, what I did, I'm hungover, slamming a Sprite. First of all, if anyone, again, I am by no means encouraging alcohol use, but Sprite has been tested out of 30,000 other drinks, and there's a phytochemical in there that actually helps destroy the alcohol in your bloodstream. So it helps with hangovers. So I'm drinking a Sprite. I hit the gym first thing in the morning, no real game plan, just hit the gym to get some energy out. So, and then I reached out to some customers. And so if you're a man and you're going through your shit or you're going through any kind of a heartbreak, you need to allow yourself to feel those emotions. You need to allow yourself to grieve. You need to talk about it. You need to say it out loud. Say, I am grieving. I am going through something. Talk about it. Say it out loud. Feel it. But then also, as a man, you need to put one step in front of the other after you allow yourself to do that. So, if some, and we have fallacies of thinking all the time, right? When you're going through a heartbreak or you're going through some, you have fallacies of thinking, and the tendency is going to be to chase that person. You're going to have a tendency to blow her up, chase her, blow up her phone. I want to put that out there, not literally blow her up. Um, Come on, little girl. And that's probably the worst thing you could do. First of all, if there was any chance, you're just going to ruin that chance by doing that. Um, and honestly, if there is somebody that does not pick you, then they are not your person. So we get this fallacy of thinking that like that was the one, she was the one, she like she was the one, she was she's my soulmate, she was this, she was that. But the honest truth is maybe she was just a pretty girl, and you're grieving the future you could have had with her. That's it. So you're gonna check your phone. You're gonna hear a bleep on your phone and think that it's a text, and you're gonna go through that. You're gonna go through a lonely period because you're used to reaching out to that one person all the time, and telling her things. Like your day or your this or that. So you're gonna go through a lonely period, and I want you to try to avoid turning inward and destroying yourself during a lonely period, during the transition phase where it goes from, you were sleeping next to somebody or you had somebody, and you now you don't, that there's that gap in your life. Fill that gap up. Go to the gym, better yourself. And I heard some really, really good advice actually, that on top of feeling your emotions and grieving and allowing yourself to do that, put a plan in action to accomplish something. Make it a medium to long term goal and work on that, focus on that, focus on that, focus on that. By the time, by the, by the time you get done, whether it's in a gym goal, I always say go to the gym, better yourself physically, let that energy out as a man. That's going to help you a lot. But make yourself a long term goal, medium to long term goal. And by the time you've accomplished that goal, the chances are you're going to be over that heartbreak. That you're not going to be thinking about it the same way. You're not going to be thinking about that person the same way. So, again, if any men are going through something like this, you can reach out to me. I'm on Facebook. You can leave a comment, and I'll reach out to you and support each other because men do need to come together better for each other during these moments. It needs to become less of a taboo thing. We do feel deeply, we have deep emotions, and we're not always credited for that. And we're not always comfortable enough to let that out. But the more you become comfortable letting out those emotions, letting out that grief, the easier it will come and the less vulnerability hangovers you're going to end up having. So, again, if anyone's going through anything, reach out. Let's hold each other up. I think that's the first step. So, put one foot in front of the other. So, grieve, let that out, cry. You need to cry, okay? And I'm a grown ass fucking man who's had a crazy ass life, and I'm telling you, it's okay to cry. Then put one foot in front of the other. Start working on something. Build a business. Go to the gym. Occupy your time. Occupy your mind space, right? You cannot think your way out of overthinking. Don't get stuck in your head. You can't think your way out of that. Do something physical. Okay, that's like trying to sniff your way out of a cocaine addict. You just can't fucking do it. So do something physical, keep your body moving, and you will make it through it. I promise. You will make it through it, and you will remember it and take lessons from it. Take lessons where you fucked up and focus more on yourself when you're thinking back on that relationship or that heartbreak. I want you to focus more on yourself than on that other person. Because if you can focus more on yourself, that's where you make improvements in yourself and you can carry a better person into your next relationship. You can make positive changes. You can admit your errors, admit your flaws, and do some personal work so that you, no matter what, you can turn that energy of depression or sadness or heartbreak into positive energy. And one more thing I want to say before I close this out. It is okay to use that heartbreak as motivation to go fucking kill it somewhere. Go kill it in the gym, kill it at business. Use that, but you cannot use dirty fuel in a car and expect that car to last. So there's got to be a point where you take that dirty gas, that negative emotion that you're using to go out there in the world and putting it toward something that's going to better yourself. There's got to be a point where that turns from negativity to you are now in a you're doing it from a positive. You're using good fuel. Okay. So there's, I went through this existential question a while back where all the energy I was using in the gym was negative, and I thought to myself, when does it come to a point where the negativity is using you to where you're not using that negativity anymore? Now it is a monkey on your back using you. So turn it positive. Use that negative energy for a while and turn it positive. Y'all have a good day. And again, reach out. Reach out if you're going through anything or you've made a mistake or you're being hard on yourself. And it's okay to be hard on yourself. Just don't be too hard on yourself. Give yourself some grace. We're only. That's it. Y'all have a good day.